Here's the workbench. We're going to be at the workbench today.
Slightly upgrade this nice old model. It's the Hornby R360 Phoenix. Beautiful model of a beautiful locomotive, but a bit lacking in various areas that need to be addressed. The first thing which I'm going to look at is the pantograph. Now, they've obviously gone to great lengths to make this a good, solid, working pantograph, and this bit here is pretty well constructed, but it's just so ridiculous. It's the wrong size and it doesn't work. I mean, if you're at this level, just look, if you're at that level there, it doesn't spring up. You have to get to there before it springs up. So if for any reason your wire is a bit low and it presses it to there, what does this pantograph do? It sits down all by itself. And also it's the wrong scale, because in Modern Locomotives Illustrated of September 2008, a 1 in 76 scale of the class 86. And we actually see that the Hornby model is a little bit too long by about 2 centimetres. But I'm not bothered about that, we can live with that. What we can't live with is this silly pantograph. This Sommerfeld pantograph is, if we compare with the drawing here, the scale drawing, put it overlap, exactly the right size, exactly the right size. So we will replace the Hornby. Well, don't you think it looks like a claw? It looks more like a claw than a pantograph, sort of going to grab you. So yes, I'll show you how I'm going to change that and fit in its place the Sommerfeld pantograph. I'm also going to change the buffers. When you look on that scale drawing, actually the buffers, these buffers are quite close to the size on the scale drawing. But if you look on any of the photographs, I mean, if you look at the photograph there and compare the buffers of those two, they're so small. I actually painted the silver on the end there. It came black. But it's quite simple. You pull that off and pop that in. And you don't have to glue it. It just pops in and press it in. But what happens is that the coupling now, especially when it's turning that way, the coupling will just touch, you see there? Just touches the buffer. So as long as your curves aren't too tight, it'll be okay. Or you could remove that hook if you wanted to. Anyway, I like to see the buffers like that. What else am I going to do? I'm going to replace the windows with the flush glaze windows. I'm going to improve the electrical contacts on the inside, and I'm going to paint the roof. So I'll do all those things. Oh, I'm also going to fit some scale wipers. Okay, so firstly let's just slip off the body. It helps if you've got strong thumbnails here. You can just put your thumbnails in and then pull the buffers towards you, and off it pops. And then the same this end, thumbnails in, just pull towards you, and the lid comes off. Now I've already wired it on the inside for a DCC decoder, but there are lots of other videos on how you do the wiring, so I'm not going to do all that. Basically you have to solder these wires and you connect the wires in the right way. Alright, so where are we going to start? Shall we start by pulling out the windows? Now the best way I think to pull out the windows is you just persuade that corner bit there, just to, you don't have to, if you just press it in fact you could press it there with your thumb, and then grab hold of it with pliers, and then a bit like a dentist pulling out a tooth, it's out. There you are, sir. Your dentures will be ready next Tuesday, and we'll do the same this end. Just, oh, well, if it breaks, it doesn't matter because we're replacing them anyway. But for some reason, I like to get them out all in, oh, the corner's cracked. I like to get them all out in one piece, I don't know why. Anyway, the windows are out. And nextly, shall we destroy this pantograph? So what I'm going to do is I will just persuade this little bit of metal here to bend back. Get a screwdriver in there. There we go. Bend that back just a wee bit. There we go. So that hook can come off that part of the framework. What we also need to do is to persuade this spring. Now this spring might be useful. Somebody might even buy it. You never know. Whoops. Yes, it's unsprung. Is that, I might, oh no, I broke it. Drat. Never mind. I have managed to get those off in one piece previously. Now this must come out. How did I do that? Oh, it comes out. That's how it comes out. So there we are. There is the old pantograph. Like I say, it's a good solidly built thing, but just wrong. I mean, look, it's just wrong. Cannot live with it. I can live with a lot. I'm not a rivet counter. I can live with a lot of things which aren't absolutely precise, but I cannot live with that. Alright, so here we go. Now the idea is, I'm just going to cut this flush here, and then this is going to fit on top of what's here. And it attaches with an M2 screw, and I'm going to drill a little hole in the roof and put the M2 screw up through, and that will hold this in place. And it works. I've done it before. So I'm just going to cut this now. Now I'm not going to film myself cutting it because I will make a mess of it. So I'm going to stop the camera and you can come back when I've done it. Oh, hello, welcome back. Well, what I did, I removed this little box off the top. Well, that's quite simple to do. It just clips, so you just push it out from underneath. And I removed this bit of electrical wiring, but it's not electrical. It's supposed to be electrical. It's actually made of plastic. So I just pulled them off and started cutting like that. And I've nearly finished. That's why I've invited you back now. So just cutting like this. Mind your fingers. Pretty much there, are we? Yeah. A bit of a ridge. So what I'll do is I'll just smooth that off. This stuff here is actually quite soft, so you don't have to go mad at it. It's very easy to smooth off there. There you go, lovely and smooth. Lovely and smooth. So there we go. I've removed that Hornby pantograph, I suppose. We can still call it a pantograph. And then this, as you can see, it just fits nicely there. So what we'd like to do, I'll probably put it there. So we've got to drill a hole. The M2 screw is going to go into that little screw hole there. So just below that, in the roof of the locomotive, I'm just going to drill a little 2mm hole. Okay, so what I've done here, I've got before and after kind of thing. This is another one which I renamed Vulcan Heritage, and this one's going to stay as Phoenix. But so you can see what I've done, I've cut that off there. If you get the angle right, just cut that off level, cut that bit off, cut that bit off, just cut it level, and then drill a hole there in the middle. That's 2mm, and that's just right then for your M2 screw. The one that you get from, I bought my pantograph from DC Kits, the screw isn't quite long enough, so I got these, and these are too long, so you have to cut it just to the right length, which doesn't take a whole lot of doing. So that's the next step. We'll get it to look like that, with that's nice and smooth. I've filed that smooth, and that's got a hole there. Now the next thing is, if you want to keep it as operating overhead from the pantograph here, you can still do it, because the pantograph that fits makes an electrical contact with this Hornby electrical contact, and this comes through here. And if you don't want to, which I don't, because it's going to be DCC, the best thing to do is probably remove this switch altogether and fill it in. So that's what I'm going to do next. Well, as you can see, I've filled in the little hole there, and using model filler, and I'm going to start putting some of these windows in now. First of all, we've got to cut them out. Well, I do it with scissors, so you've got to cut them very carefully along the edge. You have to leave just a teeny weeny bit of overlap, but not too much, because the spaces aren't big enough in the body shell. So here goes, just very carefully. Each window has to be done separately. So a bit of the old glue and glaze now. Don't use very much. Just the teeny weeniest on the edge. Like that. And if you do get any on the window, clean it off straight away. So here we go. That should be that one. In we go. And that's all right. Let's clean the inside of it. That's a nice one. So one done, and another, oh, I don't know how many still to go. Okay, so all the windows are in, and I've also painted the roof black. I think that looks a lot better now. I've also drilled some holes here, ready for lights. But what I'm going to do now is we're going to fit the wipers. So I've got these wipers out of the packet, separated them at one end and bent them up so I can paint them. And there's 4 there. So you need a teeny weeny hole. So I'm using a teeny weeny drill. If you're interested in which size it is, 75, well, it's number 75, whatever that means. I don't really know. So let's just drill a little hole just above the window. Just above the window. I'm trying to do this so you can see it, but just right. Very carefully in the middle of the window there. Do you know what? I'm not going to film myself doing this. Okay, so I've drilled my hole and I've got my little wiper and I've bent it at 90 degrees just in the right place. So now let's just dab a teeny weeny slither of glue and glaze on the back. Well, I've almost finished all the cosmetic body improvements. I've just got to put the lights into these holes which I've drilled. So I've got this lights kit here. I'll just pop them in there in a moment. Put a little driver in there as well. And I'm going to concentrate on the electrics now, trying to improve the electrics. So I've got the rear bogie and the motor, which I've separated. Now, as far as the rear bogie is concerned, this pickup is actually meant for a class 90, I think it is, but it fits just fine here. So I'll just glue that on the top like so, and then attach these wires into the wiring. And then for the motor, what they do is they have the traction tyre wheels, which are the ones that obviously don't pick up so much current. They have them on the same side, so I've reversed one and I've put a little bit of plastic card there with super glue. And then what I'm going to do with this is actually from the wipers, the leftover bit of the sprue. I'm going to just cut that end bit off and I'm going to pop that in there. And then I'm going to wire it with a bit of wire. I'm going to take the wire underneath. This is very thin wire, so I'm able to do this. Take it underneath the motor so the wire doesn't get clogged in with the cogs there. And bring that wire up around this side and then connect that into the wiring loom. So we'll have 6 wheels which are picking up a contact, and then that will be 3 on each side. So that will be a great improvement over what we've got at the moment. Okay, so I'll be back in a moment when I've done a couple of those jobs. Well, I've glued that on to there, the contact onto the bogie. I'll connect the wires up in a minute, but there's something else that we need to do, because this has raised up the level of the top of the bogie. So what we need to do on this cross member here, we just need to take a little bit off so that the bogie still fits in there, because it's a bit too high now. So this is a job for the Dremel. Now you can't have a model railway and not have a Dremel. So it's this bit here we need to just take a bit off. So here we go. should do it. Let's have a look. Okay, so let's just try it. Pop those wires through. There you go. Lots of space, turns nice and freely. Beautiful! So, now what we've got to do is we've got to connect the wires up correctly. Okay, well, we're nearly ready for reassembly now. What I've done, one of these teeny weeny little connectors. This has got 3 prongs on each end, and it comes apart like that. This is useful if you want to take the lid off and you've connected lights. So from your DCC connector, put the blue one in the middle. That's the common earth. Then if you get the wires the wrong way round for the front and back, it's easy just to switch it round because it can go in either way. Everything else has been connected up, so that one that came from this wheel. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention, when I swapped this around, you have to make sure that the wheel you put on the other side has got a cog on the back of it, because some of them don't, some of them are just completely plain like that. So you want one of these with, because otherwise obviously your motor won't be turning any wheels and you won't be going anywhere. Anyway, this is all now wired up. That's connected, that's connected, that's connected, all connected. Right, and the lid is ready to go back on. Pantograph fitted, there we go, and lights kit on the inside, all the wiring stuck back out of the way with black tack. So I will just connect up. Now the way this goes, yellow goes to yellow on mine, so there we go, that connects there, and then the body can go on. Not trapping any wires. Ta-da! Look at the wipers, look at the lights, look at the buffers, look at the pantograph, look at the roof. Isn't that good now? I'm so much happier with everything. Now that is done, that is... Do you want to see one in operation? I'll bet you do. Okay, let's see what we can do.